Good morning, ladies. Tuesday morning, 10 o'clock. So happy to be here again. Again, we'll at least wait until 10 o'clock turns to 10:01. Give a few of you time to jump on. I just love seeing this because same ones jump on like right at 10 o'clock. There we go. I don't know who it is, but right at 10 o'clock. I love it. I love you ladies who plan to be here because you put things in your calendar, you make a plan. That's how they get done. So happy to have you here. So we'll give it another minute before we talk about how to avoid burnout over the holidays. Okay, we're almost there. So let's get started. With three of you here, let's get started. So good morning. Happy to have you. Hey, Cindy, how are you? Good to see you. And I don't know who else is here, but we'll probably find out in a minute. Okay, so listen, Thanksgiving is over now. I hope you all had a wonderful Thanksgiving. We are officially in the season of crazy, okay, right? Hey, Timmy, how are you? We are in the season of crazy, and how are you going to keep from burning out? Okay, without a plan, and I know you probably all get sick of hearing me talk about having a plan, but if you listen to me for 10 years, I will be talking about how important it is to have a plan. I'm not just talking about for your business, I'm talking about for your life. You need to have a plan. It's that important. It's so important. But without a plan right now over the holiday season, you'll end up going into panic mode. You'll be totally stressed out. And like, then what happens? You know, if you get panicked, if you get stressed out, number one, getting stressed out is going to have an adverse effect on your health. It's not a good thing. We all know that. So let's avoid some of the stress. We've had other sessions on how to deal with stress, but let's avoid it in the first place. So not only will your health suffer, but listen, this is a time of year, a season that can be so joyous and such a happy time. But if you're panicked, if you're stressed, you're just going to suck all that joy out of it. You really will. So you want to enjoy the season. You don't want to be stressed. You don't want to be sick. Then make a plan so that you don't end up in that place. Okay. So what can some of the components of that plan be so that you don't end up becoming totally burnt out? Okay. First off, we talked about this in a whole lot more detail last week, but pick your priorities and just let go of all the rest of the stuff. You know, I talked last week about making a list of all the things you need to do this holiday season and prioritizing it, and look at the bottom of the list and just let it go. Don't get attached to it. Be happy to let it go, because you know what? You'll get the most important things done. That's what's critical, is getting the most important things done, right? But if you don't get your whole list completed, hey, hopefully you've relieved some stress. You brought the joy back into the season, and the stuff that didn't get done didn't really matter anyway. And listen, when you're making that list, be realistic with your expectations, okay? If you don't like cooking, if you don't like baking, if you're not crafty, if you're not a great interior designer, then don't set yourself up to do the Martha Stewart Christmas, right? You're just inviting panic. You're inviting stress. So be realistic with the things that you have on your list. You know, if you want to tackle something new and fun, that's fine, but be realistic, okay? Another thing that can really, really make it a whole lot less stressful, and this depends on your personality. If you're a person who loves to go out and go shopping, then knock yourself out. But even a lot of people who love shopping really don't love going out and shopping this time of year. So it's a perfect time of year to take advantage of shopping online, right? And listen, shopping online doesn't mean like you're totally going to do everything through Amazon. Some people will, but you can still support small business. How many of your friends are in network marketing or direct sales, or they do crafts or whatever? You can still do a lot to support small business by shopping online. But think about shopping online. I sat down Black Friday and I started and finished all my shopping, and started and finished all my mom's shopping, because I help her buy for the grandkids and the great grandkids and all that. So done in a day. So that's something that can really relieve a lot of stress, because you can be sitting there in your yoga pants and relaxing and having a cup of cocoa or coffee. Hey, Jane. And shopping at the same time. So you can get it done in a relaxing, calming atmosphere and not be dealing with the stress of the crowds and the stores and all that stuff. Again, if you like it, knock yourself out. But if you don't, it's one thing you can do to relieve the stress of the holidays. Another thing is, don't overcommit. You know how hard it is to say no. We women have such a hard time saying no. But listen, two things to think about in that regard. Last week we talked about like really making a detailed plan for the rest of the year, writing down on your calendar every single commitment you have, every appointment, every event, everything you have to do on a list, and fill that into some of the white space. Because when you write it down on paper and then you look at it, you'll have so much more white space than you think you have. If you don't write it down and all these commitments are just swimming around in your head, you will feel totally overwhelmed. So you really, really will benefit yourself so much if you write it all down. So then I say don't overcommit. But the thing is now, if somebody asks you to do something and you'd really like to do it and you'd like to help them out, you can look at that calendar, you can look at that white space and see if you really do have time to do it, because maybe you do. And that's great. But you know what? If you don't, you really have to learn to say no, because I love the saying, just don't forget this. Every time you say yes to one thing, you're saying no to something else. So if you're just saying yes to everything that comes across your plate, bigger things are going to suffer. You're saying no to some of the bigger things that you really should be focused on. So please learn to say no. But again, have a plan so you'll know exactly when you need to say no. Another thing, don't be afraid to delegate. Delegate. Pay people to do things. I mean, if you have young kids, if you have teenage kids, you have to bake cookies this year, get together and do them together. Let people help you with wrapping. If you're out at the store shopping, how many times do they have the tables set up where people are wrapping gifts for a donation? And that donation's going to a charity. So, you're supporting a good cause, but you're getting something else off your plate that can be done. So delegate as much as you can. Really important, make sure you still get enough sleep. I know it's tempting to be up all hours in the morning, wrapping the gifts, baking the cookies, cleaning the house, doing all these things you have to do. Don't let your sleep suffer. Do everything you can to make that a priority, because it affects so much, of your health, your stress levels, your well-being. Really, really, I can't even tell you enough how important that is. So please make sure you get enough sleep. Keep the whole experience in perspective. Okay? It's just, what's this whole season about? Is it about going crazy and burning out and making yourself nuts? Let's have some perspective about what it's all about. Focus on the joy of the season, the meaning of the season, the time with family and friends, all the good things about it. If you keep your perspective there, then hopefully you're not thinking about all the stuff that's driving you crazy. It's like, look at the ceiling, look at the floor. Now, while you're looking at the floor, look at the ceiling. I mean, you can't. You're going to look at the positive or you're going to look at the negative. You can't look at them both at the same time. Morning, Sheena. So if you can only look at one thing at a time, have that focus on the positive. Have it on the meaning of the season and the wonderful times of the season. And don't have all your focus on all the things that are stressing you out. Again, if you didn't watch it, go watch last week's training, because if it's hard for you to get rid of that stress because you have so much to do, go back last week and make sure you have a plan in place, because then it won't stress you out so much. Oh, awesome. Awesome, Sheena. So anyway, and listen, finally, one more thing before I get to the final thing, is get rid of the preconceived ideas of what you think the holiday should look like. Just because grandma made 20 batches of cookies and laid out a spread for 50 people on Christmas Day doesn't mean you have to do it too. Sometimes we just have these preconceived ideas of what the holiday needs to look like, and we just keep continuing the traditions. And yet in our heart and in our lives, those traditions might not work anymore. And maybe they're not even a big deal. Maybe you just do it because it's what you've always done. So really think about that. Maybe you want to make new traditions. If the old traditions aren't working for you, throw them out and create some new ones. It's about what works for you and what's meaningful to you and your loved ones. It's not about just doing what was always done. So take a good hard look at what you're doing and why you're doing it. If you're doing things just because it's how you've always done them, maybe it's time for a change, okay? But finally, the very most important way to not experience burnout over the holidays is to give yourself permission to take care of you, okay? We don't do that on a daily basis. Do you really think any of us are finding time to do that right now in the busiest season of the year? No, probably not. But it is the most important thing I can say today. In a book I read called The 12-Week Year, he talks about time blocking, and he talks about 3 different kinds of time blocking. And the third kind of time blocking he talks about is called a breakout block. And he talks about taking 3 hours a week to spend on something non-work related. Non-work meaning non-business, non-household. I'm not talking about doing your laundry or vacuuming the house. Non-work related. 3 hours a week to spend just on something that you enjoy. Something that will recharge you, refresh you, fill your gas tank, so that when you've come out of that time, you're ready to hit the road again. You're really ready to go again, okay? Because before that, you've run out of gas. You need to refill your gas tank before you can go again, right? So it is so critical. And if you can't do a 3-hour time block, do some smaller increments. But please find time for yourself over the season. I can start a list, but the list could be a mile long of things you can do. You can go for a spa treatment, go get a massage. We have Stephanie on here who does a massage, and we have another massage therapist in our group. But go get a massage. Go out with your friends just to have a good time and relax for a few hours on a weekend. Take a bath, read a book. There are things that don't have to be big time blocks. But take an hour, take an hour or more at a time and do that a few times a week. Binge watch something on TV. Hey, Colleen, there's nothing wrong with doing that now and then to just shut things down. I shut down almost every night at around 9 o'clock, 9:30, and I spend a couple hours just watching TV and just not having to use my brain for anything, just letting something entertain me so I can relax, I can fill my gas tank so that I can hit it hard again the next day. So give yourself that time to do that. Go to the movies, whatever it is you like to do, but find time during the week. A 3-hour time block would be beautiful to just spend on you. Just spend doing something you really enjoy. Because if you want to avoid burnout, you need to have a plan, but man, you need to take care of yourself. Because if you don't take care of yourself, everything will suffer. You will not be bringing your A game to anything. So you're going to buy crappy gifts just for the sake of getting it done because you're so stressed out. Your heart's not going to be in your food. Maybe you do make cookies, but are you joyous while you're making your cookies because you're loving this tradition and you're thinking about the people who are going to be at your house or the gifts you're going to give of the labors, the fruit of your labors? Or are you just like, I got to make another batch, It's just, if you're stressed about it, you shouldn't be doing it. But if you're stressed about everything, maybe it's because you're pushing yourself too hard. So it's so critical to find time for yourself. And here's the deal. If you had to take your kids to soccer practice tomorrow night, or you had to take Johnny to the doctor's tomorrow morning, those things would be non-negotiable rocks in your calendar, right? They would get done. There's just no question. Why aren't you as important as that? You need to schedule time for yourself as though it's a non-negotiable rock in your calendar. That, I'm sorry, I can't do this at that time because I already have plans. My plans are to go somewhere for 3 hours and maybe go for a hike in a beautiful setting to just restore my spirit and make me feel really good. Or I'm going to go to the movies or whatever it is. But that time needs to be as protected as any other appointment you have. But we don't do that. We put ourselves last and we say we're going to do that. We might have it on the calendar, but if something else comes up, we just quickly push it aside and do something else instead. But everything suffers if you don't take care of yourself. So if you get nothing else today, get that. You need to find time to take care of yourself. Because when you do, you'll come back refreshed and you'll come back ready to tackle all the stuff you have to do. You're not going to be able to tackle it with any real power if you don't have any power. If you are just drained and there's nothing left, you're not going to bring your A game. So it's really important to take care of yourself. So bottom line, no matter how crazy the season gets, oh man, Colleen, perfect analogy. Put your oxygen mask on first. If you're on the plane and you're running around putting everybody else's on, guess what? Halfway through, you're going to pass out because you're not getting any oxygen. And if you're putting them on the faces of your children, well, now mom's not there to take care of them. You have to be bringing your A game if you're going to take care of anybody. Very important. So bottom line, no matter how crazy the season gets, keep the right perspective, make a plan, and make taking care of yourself part of that plan. Critical stuff. So tell me, on a scale of 1 to 10, how stressed are you this season? How stressed do you feel with all the things that you have to get done between now and whatever date, whether it's Christmas, Hanukkah, just end of the year stuff, business for work, deadlines, whatever it is. How stressed do you feel right now about the amount of work you have to do on a scale of 1 to 10? And tell me, what do you like to do for enjoyment when you do want to take downtime? If you're going to do something that's really going to refresh you, really make you feel like you've recharged and you've really relaxed and gotten what you need, what is it you like to do? My couple hours at the end of the day is great, but then apart from that, it's like going for a walk outside, just in nature, taking my puppies for a walk around the farm. Just being out in nature for a good amount of time is so therapeutic. It's just, you all know it. I mean, I'm probably preaching to the choir, but get outside, get the vitamin D, be in the sunlight, just be out in nature. And that will do so much to just really restore you too. So let me see. Are you responding with your scales of 1 to 10? Because I'm not seeing anything come through, or don't you want to admit anything? And that's okay too, but be thinking about it. Jane's an 8. There you go. And that's not uncommon. I mean, my gosh, we all have a lot to do. We have a lot to do every day of our lives. And this time of year, that doubles and triples and quadruples. So seriously, if you didn't see last week's segment, I forget exactly what it was called. It was about making a plan. I forget exactly what we called it. But seriously, it'll give you very, very detailed ideas on how to make a plan to get through this holiday season. Stressing over getting my daughter ready to study abroad. I need a girlfriend's night out. So see if that's what you need. Do it. But Colleen, the second the words come out of your mouth, get it on the calendar and call a couple people to say, yeah, I'm in, and then protect that and do it. But do it soon. You need to be doing this on a weekly basis, not like just once a month, once every few months. Busy season, I know. So make sure you take that time to do something. That's something I love about, being in so many networking groups. There are always things going on, and it is kind of nice because it sort of forces you to get out. We're having a Friendsgiving on Sunday with one of my networking groups, and going out today to lunch with a couple ladies from that group. And it's just really fun to have those things to look forward to just give you those breathers and time to just sit and just relax, because you need it. This time of year, you really need to relax. Like I said, you need to fill your tank, because otherwise you have run out of gas. And if you're running out of gas, what are you doing? You're pushing that car and you're pushing it uphill, and that is not easy. But that's exactly what you're going to be doing this season if you don't have gas in your car. So you got to make sure you put gas in your car. Absolutely. Jane, you got to put it on your calendar ahead of time. It's funny because I was talking to a girlfriend last week and I was telling her about all my crazy Christmas decorating, because I decorate out the gazoo. You wouldn't even believe how many decorations I have. But she said, so when am I going to get an invite over to see it? And I said, well, you know what? I thought about having an open house. And she said, well, knowing you, it's already on the calendar. And it wasn't. But the second she said that, before I even responded to her, I went to my calendar, I stuck it on the calendar, and I went back to her. I said, yep, here it is. I'm having an open house, and here's when I'm having it. So hope you can make it. So absolutely, get it on your calendar immediately. But the bigger thing, ladies, is once it's on your calendar, you have to protect it just like you would protect a doctor's appointment or anything else. You have to understand how important it is, because we say it's important, but somehow because it's for us, it becomes less important than everybody else's needs. Okay, remember, you're no good to everybody else if you're not taking care of you. So please put it on your calendar, protect it. And I want to hear during the week what you're going to do before we meet next week to do something for yourself. I really want you to share in the group just what it is that you're going to do. Plan something, and it'll make such a big difference over this season. So, all right. Well, ladies who jumped on late, I'm happy to see you here. Happy to see you, Michelle and Linda, and I think somebody else jumped on late. But please go back and watch the repeat and catch this from the beginning. But I hope you all have a great week. I hope you had a great Thanksgiving last week. And hope you have a great week, and we will see you here same time, same place next Tuesday. Bye.